Fox News hosts call out Jim Comey.
And the cool shell formation, according to the person who used to be in charge of the FBI, shows shells in the shape of 8647.
Fellow 6'8" man, though, my face is healing. I'm certainly not going to get taller than him. I'll never be as big of a criminal FBI America backstabbing scumbag as him. Welcome to Doug in Exile.
This very serious topic is that James Comey wants us to believe, and we have this photo here, that he saw a cool, these are his words, cool shell formation on my beach walk.
As we watch Fox News take apart Jim Comey, who did make a death threat on the president or hope that someone else would make good on that threat. Watch this.
Former FBI Director James Comey in some hot water, meeting face-to-face with Secret Service officials last evening.
Thanks to his now deleted social media post that read, quote, cool shell formation on the beach that spells out 8647.
Why would you think that was a cool shell formation in the first place? That's so passive aggressive. I'll just leave this here. He would claim, I'm not saying anything. I just thought it was a cool shell formation. By the way, he didn't find that formation on the beach.
James Comey, again, a guy who has prosecuted mobsters, apparently had no idea that this was a thing. He deleted the original post with the cool shell formation, and he writes, I posted a picture earlier of some shells I saw today on a beach walk, which I assumed were a political message. I didn't realize some folks associate those numbers with violence. It never occurred to me, but I oppose violence of any kind, and I took the post down.
Look at it, how shallow it is. He didn't just stumble across it and happen to come across a threat to the president. James Comey wrote this message and sent it out to all of you. He did this. And by the way, his DNA is going to be all over those shells from when he touched it and put the whole thing together. What kind of weirdo goes on a beach walk and his biggest thought is to spell out a threat to president, to 86, the 47th president? That's like a teenage girl. I walked on the beach and I wrote down my enemy's name in the sand. It was terrible. To promote my book, by the way, that's coming out next week.
Raising red flags to officials, as it should, as the number 86 is a common call sign used for murder or to get rid of someone, while the number 47, of course, is seen as signifying Trump.
Congressman Rick Crawford serves as chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. Mr. Chairman, are you buying James Comey's claim that he just had no idea what this meant? He just thought it was a neat picture and he was going to put it on his webpage.
Not at all. No, that's ridiculous. And he shouldn't be selling it. It's insane that somebody that was in the position that he was in, an FBI director, whatever his political leanings are now, he was an FBI director. And you think the American people are going to buy that you just happened on this random shell formation and had no idea what that might mean? Give me a break. This guy is like, an eighth grader in the back of the classroom with the behavioral problem, jumping up and down, waving his hand, saying, hey, don't forget about me. I'm still here.
It shows a basic disrespect of his own office, too, that he would say that. What a creep. And I don't just mean creep. I mean like murderously disrespectful. This was the head of the FBI, and he's going to basically lie to everyone, perhaps even himself, with that kind of a story. And even if it's true that he doesn't know what to 86 someone, which any eighth grader knows what it means to 86 that guy, that if he really didn't know, and if he was telling the truth, that he would be so naive and insipid and gullible that he shouldn't be in a position of leadership. No wonder why he was a failure. So whether if he was telling the truth or lying, we ought to be concerned this guy was totally unqualified or unwilling to be a good FBI director.
It's just ridiculous.
Is it that? Or is he signaling something? I mean, listen, first of all, we have a cabinet member who had his own father assassinated, his uncle assassinated. We have a sitting president who's had 2 attempts on his life by Democrats, by the way. I'm not buying all this, stuff that it's some foreign country. Those were Democrats. Comey, a Democrat, somebody who has actively tried to take down the president with the fake Russia collusion case. What are going to be the consequences for this? Because something has to happen.
Sure. So the first thing we know is that obviously there was a referral made to the Secret Service. That's appropriate anytime there's a threat against the president, and they're taking the appropriate action. Keep in mind that the Secret Service comes under the jurisdiction of DHS, which is Secretary Noam's lane, but there may also be criminal proceedings under FBI Director and Pam Bondi. So there needs to be a whole federal law enforcement approach to this. So we're seeing that already underway.
He already got a visit to his house. The feds came and knocked on his window and interviewed him. They also interviewed his wife, by the way, probably because she might have been another witness on that walk. Remember, James Comey promised to get Trump. He was one of the guys that said that he would go after Trump. He's like a white, slightly more effeminate, slightly better looking Letitia James.
The other issue is, as you mentioned, some of the history of Comey. Russiagate was one of those. But think back to 2017 in June of that year when there was an assassination attempt against Steve Scalise and many others on a baseball field of Republicans. After 8 years, we just got that report from the FBI, that investigation. And he was a part of that, even though it was the Comey culture. It was McCabe that engaged in the cover-up primarily, but he was responsible for establishing that culture. And so Comey has his fingerprints on an awful lot of bad things. And keep in mind that what prompted this shooter in the case of the 2017 shooting at the Republican baseball practice was political rhetoric. It was this inciting to violence that he had been listening to Bernie Sanders. And so a guy like Comey.
And he went and he shot a bunch of Republican senators. It's always a Democrat. There's so many of them. It starts to become more than just a coincidence. Remember, it's Jasmine Crockett says, oh, no, it's the Republicans that are violent. Republicans that are violent. They can't give you evidence or numbers. And Comey helped slow walk getting that guy who shot Steve Scalise. Remember the other guy that went and stabbed Lee Zeldin in New York while he was on the campaign trail?
When you've already seen two assassination attempts against President Trump, and he comes out and then this innocuous, oh, look what I just happened on here on the beach on my morning stroll on the beach. That's not a dog whistle. That's a bullhorn for some people.
I couldn't agree more. All of us want to see consequences. We know that there certainly would be if it was a Republican, if it was reversed. So
there would be consequences if it was a Republican and if the situation was reversed. That's the two-tiered justice system at work that I appreciate these Fox News people coming out, canceling James Comey in public. Comey's not in the clear yet. He'll likely just be investigated, though. There'll be no prosecution because he's a Democrat, of course. If that was me, a 6'8" man making a threat, say to 86 Barack Obama, you'd never hear from me again. I'd be in prison in solitary confinement, probably for life. What do you guys think? Does James Comey, does anything go further with this? Does he see any time? Does he get any charges officially against him for threatening the president of the United States after someone's already tried assassinating the president twice? And Comey, a head of FBI, leaders should be held to a higher level of accountability. I'm Doug, in exile.